God's chosen ones. God declared a spiritual emergency. Midnight warning to prepare, chosen one. At exactly midnight, heaven calls your name. Don't say it's a coincidence. This is the signal you've been praying for. As the clock strikes 12, the dark room trembles softly as if someone has just knocked on the door of your soul. Can you hear it? That emergency siren from heaven. It doesn't appear on a screen. It echoes inside your chest, beating with the rhythm of your heart. If your heart is racing, if goosebumps rise on your skin, know this: you are being invited into the hour of your divine choosing. Lift your head. Look straight into the darkness before you. Listen closely. A voice is calling you by your true name. And now, don't scroll past your destiny. Pause. Take a deep breath. Whisper softly, "I'm ready." Because right now, the gates of heaven are opening, waiting for you to step in. Tonight, in the stillness of the dark, a siren sounds not in the streets, but deep within your spirit. This is a spiritual emergency. The whisper drifts through your soul like a quiet wind through the desert. You think you've been abandoned. No, beloved one. Abraham was awakened in the middle of the night. Mary received her news in the shadows. Samuel heard the Lord's voice 3 times while everyone slept. And Paul and Silas sang in the prison darkness, just moments before their chains broke. Midnight. It has always been the hour of the chosen ones. What's happening to you is not punishment, it's separation for protection. When the world grows loud, God pulls you away from the noise. When everything locks down, it's because He's opening another door. A state of emergency isn't meant to punish you, but to reposition you, to bring you back into alignment with the divine plan written over your life. And if you find yourself feeling alone, understand this: that solitude is God's operating room. He's laying you on a spiritual table where only His light can shine. Everything unnecessary is being removed. Every wound is being stitched. Every crack is being healed. And in that sacred stillness, you hear a gentle voice whisper, "You are in my operating room. Do not be afraid. I have not left you. I am saving you." Part 1. Heaven's Emergency Room. This is Heaven's emergency room. There are no needles here, no scalpels, only light, and the breath of God surrounding you. You wonder why you've been separated from everything. Friends have drifted away. Family feels distant. Finances run dry. Health grows shaky. It feels as though everything is collapsing at once. But listen closely. You are not being abandoned. You're being moved into spiritual isolation for protection, not punishment. When a patient is taken into the ICU, what's the first thing a doctor does? They cut away restrictive clothing, remove jewelry, clear everything that might interfere with saving a life. And that's exactly what God is doing with you. He's removing whatever no longer serves the life He placed within you. The relationships that drain you, He's detaching them. The jobs that pull you away from Him, He's closing them. The comforts that lull you to sleep, He's taking them away, not to make you lose, but to help you wake up. In this sacred operating room, there's only you and Him. No noise, no audience, no pretending. Just a bare, beating heart, synchronized with the rhythm of heaven. You feel weak. You're not weak. You're in labor. Every pain, every sigh, every tear is the contraction of your soul, signaling that something new is being born. Imagine this: in the dim glow, a warm hand rests upon your shoulder. A gentle yet steady voice whispers, "You are not weak, my child. You are in labor. I am birthing something great within you. Don't be afraid. Let me do my part." And with that deep breath, you realize this emergency room isn't the end. It's the birthing room of a brand new beginning. Part 2, the 5-day preparation map. Tonight, while the world keeps scrolling through its screens, God is calling you into Noah's workshop, a place without laughter, only the quiet sound of preparation. Just as Joseph quietly filled his storehouses, during the season of abundance, you are being called to begin 5 sacred days of preparation for the spiritual rain that is about to come. These are not ordinary days. They are golden markers, 5 foundation stones laid on the path of your awakening. Each day is a layer of construction, and when the work is done, you will hold in your hands a survival map, not just for yourself, but for the ones still sleeping around you. Day 1. Fast and pray, purposeful stillness. Noah couldn't hear God's voice if the world around him was too loud. Joseph couldn't interpret dreams if his mind was still cluttered with the noise of the palace. And neither can you. To hear heaven's whisper, you must first quiet the growl of your stomach and the murmur of your worries. This fast isn't about convincing God to act. It's about teaching your soul how to be still. Choose one thing to pause today. Skip a meal, turn off your phone for an hour, or let go of a meaningless conversation. Instead of scrolling endlessly, sit with your journal and whisper, "Lord, I'm ready to listen." When hunger stirs, let it remind you your soul is being fed. When your hand reaches for the phone, open the Bible instead. When your mind begins to wander, draw it back with a slow, deep breath, as if you're inhaling the very breath of the Holy Spirit. Lord, if you are speaking, make me hear you clearer. That small prayer is the key that unlocks the first door, because true preparation begins when the soul chooses silence. Day 2, write the vision. Take a new notebook, not your phone, not your computer, a real notebook, one that smells of paper and can soak up tears. What you're about to write isn't just a reminder, it's a covenant between you and heaven. Habakkuk 2:2 says, "Write the vision and make it plain, so that he who reads it may run." Now is the time to write, not with ink, but with faith. Write down the dreams left unfinished, the prophecies once spoken over your life, the verses that once made you weep, and even the fears you've never dared to confess. Write it all, because as you write, you're turning the invisible into the visible. Every word is a hammer strike, building the ark of your own Noah. It doesn't have to be neat, it just has to be true. And one night, when the rain begins to fall, you'll turn back to those pages and whisper, "This is the blueprint heaven gave me." Then you'll realize God had been sketching your destiny all along. He was just waiting for you to be still enough to write it down. Day 3. Declutter your home, your heart, your connections. Noah couldn't build an ark surrounded by mockers. Joseph couldn't reign while his heart was still muddy with the past. And you can't step into a new season while your home, your heart, or your relationships are still cluttered with old debris. Today, God is calling you to clean up. Clean your home. Open the closet. Let go of things that carry painful memories. Wipe your altar and your workspace. Clean, make room for His presence to dwell. Clean your heart. Forgive those who hurt you, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve freedom. Write their names down. Place your hand over them and whisper, "I release them and I let God take what remains." Clean your relationships. Step back for a season from anyone who steals your peace. Don't fear being misunderstood. Today's isolation is tomorrow's hallway of miracles. Let your room, your heart, and your online spaces become clean, empty, quiet. God doesn't pour new oil into a jar full of residue. He waits until it's empty. And when you're done, you'll sit in that sacred stillness and feel something lift, as if an invisible weight just fell from your shoulders. Lord, I'm not losing anything. I'm just making room for you. Day 4. Unplug, turn off the noise. Sound is the thief of revelation. The world shouts, "Stay updated, react, prove yourself." But heaven whispers, "Be still and know that I am God." Today, unplug from the world. Turn off the TV. Put your phone on silent. Stay off social media for 24 hours. Sit alone, no music, no notifications. At first, it will feel uncomfortable, but then something holy happens. The noise outside quiets and the whisper within begins to rise. Elijah didn't hear God in the earthquake or in the fire or in the storm, but in the gentle breeze. And so will you. Let this day move slowly. Listen to the sound of leaves rustling, your own breathing, the beating of your heart. And somewhere within those quiet moments, you'll hear it, a soft, steady voice saying, "I'm still here. I never left." Those words will catch in your throat because they're proof that even in silence, God still speaks. Day 5. Stock up supplies for body and spirit. Noah didn't wait for the rain to close the ark. Joseph didn't wait for famine to store the grain. And you don't wait for the storm to start preparing. On this final day, stock up not out of fear, but out of faith. Physical supplies. Gather simple essentials. Water, food, medicine, a flashlight. Not to hide, but to remind your heart. Wisdom is not panic. Preparation is not fear. Spiritual supplies. Create a worship playlist for lonely nights. Write down 10 scriptures that make you strong. Place them where you can see them. Write prayers and the names of those you want to lift up. This is your Joseph storehouse, your spiritual pantry for the dry days ahead. When you feel weak, that playlist will remind you He is still your source. When you feel lost, that small flashlight will symbolize His word, lighting your path. Lord, I will not wait for a miracle to believe. I will prepare as if the miracle is already at my door. And when the 5th day ends, don't be surprised if there's no thunder, no grand sign, because the change doesn't happen around you, it happens within you. You've transformed from the one who asked why to the one who says, "I'm ready." When Noah drove in the last nail, the sky was still clear. When Joseph filled the final sack of grain, the people were still laughing. When you close your journal, clean your room, log off your phone, and press play on your worship songs, the world may look the same, but inside a sacred gear has begun to turn. God doesn't need you to do more. He just needs you to be ready. And when the clock strikes the end of the 5th day, He will smile and say, "Well done, my faithful servant. You have prepared. Now step into the rest I've prepared for you." Part 3. 3 weeks of hiding, buried, or planted. Every spiritual journey has a hidden season, a time when the light seems gone and the familiar voice grows silent. But this is not the end. It's the sacred incubation period. Heaven begins in your soul. 3 weeks, 21 days, not long by the world's clock, but long enough for heaven to rewrite your spiritual DNA. 1 week 1. When the light goes out. The first day feels disorienting. Your phone is quiet. The people you used to talk to each night have stopped reaching out. The places that once brought joy now feel hollow. You whisper, "Lord, where are you? Why are you so silent?" But in that silence, listen closely. There's a small sound, the sound of a seed falling into the soil. It doesn't make a loud crash. It just exhales softly as it touches the ground, then disappears. You think the seed has died, but in truth, it has just begun to live. Remember this: Moses went up Mount Sinai 40 days unseen. Jesus entered the wilderness 40 days unheard. David hid in caves years unnoticed. Each disappeared for a time, only to return with a light that could never be extinguished. Now you're walking that same path. Heaven is closing the noisy door of the world to open a smaller, quieter door inside your heart, a door only you and God know about. Whisper to yourself each morning, "I'm not being buried, I'm being planted." Let that truth become your daily breath. 2. Week 2. When silence comes alive. After being in the soil long enough, you start to hear new sounds, not from outside, but from within. Memories resurface, words once spoken, old pains, once buried questions left unanswered. And in the quiet darkness, you begin to see the unhealed places in your soul. Heaven didn't hide you to make you forget He hid you, so He could touch the cracks that outer light could never reach. One afternoon, sitting alone, you may suddenly remember someone. A person you once loved, now only a scar. And God will gently whisper, "You don't have to hold this pain anymore. I've already taken it." Tears will fall not out of sorrow, but out of release. Every tear is water for the seed. Every time you forgive, a new root grows deeper. Every time you choose faith over fear, a tender sprout pushes through the soil. And every time you kneel to pray in silence, heaven leans in closer with every breath. You are not forgotten, you are being reshaped. Week 3, when life begins to rise. By the third week, something holy happens. Not outwardly, there are still no miracles flashing across your sky, but inwardly something irreversible shifts. Like a cocoon hanging in stillness from the outside, it looks lifeless, but inside transformation is breaking open. The caterpillar's old body dissolves into liquid cells, breaking, rearranging until the new form takes shape. That's you in week 3. Old habits melt away. Old thoughts lose their grip. What used to scare you no longer holds power. You begin to feel a peace that doesn't depend on circumstance. You may not have all the answers, but the old anxiety no longer speaks. You feel enough not because life is perfect, but because you know you are exactly where you need to be. One morning when you open your journal from part 2, some dreams will glow brighter. Certain sentences you once wrote will seem to shimmer as if heaven itself underlined them with fire. And God will whisper through your own handwriting, "I never stopped writing this story. I was just waiting for you to read it with me." This is the week to record your visions and dreams. Don't fear if they seem strange. Don't rush to analyze them. Just write. Write what you see. Write what you hear within. Even write what you can't put into words, because this is the language of growth. No tree sprouts the day after it's planted, but the seed that knows it's growing never doubts the darkness that surrounds it. 4. Hiddenness is not escape. It's preparation for light. Some days in these 3 weeks, you'll want to give up. You'll whisper, "I'm so tired, so lonely. I don't feel anything." But it's in those hollow days that heaven works the hardest. You can't see the roots pushing down. You can't hear the water soaking through the soil. But the seed is alive, stretching toward a light it hasn't yet seen. This isolation isn't punishment. It's the laboratory of miracles. You are not buried, you are planted. That phrase isn't just comfort, it's the declaration of transformation. The buried stay gone. The planted rise again, and soon the sun of righteousness will rise, and from where you've been hidden, new life will break through the ground, reaching for light. 5. When the darkness begins to crack. By the end of the 3rd week, you'll feel something breaking open inside. Not pain release, like the soft ground hearing the seed push upward for the first time. One morning in prayer, tears will fall uncontrollably, but not from heaviness. They'll be the tears of someone ready to rise. One night you'll notice the voice inside has changed. No longer "I'm afraid," but "I believe." No longer "I can't," but "If you will, I will." That's how you'll know the hidden season is ending. The seed has broken its shell. The cocoon has thinned. The desert beneath you has begun to bloom. 6. The breath of the one about to rise. On the final night of your 3 weeks, you'll hear a familiar whisper, God's own voice clearer than ever before. "See, I never left you in the dark. That darkness was my hand covering you. You thought you were buried, but I was planting you in my best soil. And now, it's time to rise. You'll lift your head. Morning light will spill across your quiet room. It won't blind you anymore because the light inside you is just as bright. 3 weeks later, you won't have become someone else. You'll have returned to who you were always meant to be. 7. The final mark. From darkness to bloom. When you look back, you'll see how every day mattered. The lonely days taught you stillness. The painful days taught you compassion. The silent days taught you how to listen. The tearful days taught you how to live true. Each one was nourishment for your soul's seed. Now as you step out, darkness is no longer your enemy, but your loyal companion that guarded your growth. And when someone asks, "Where were you all that time? Why did you disappear?" you'll smile and say, "I didn't disappear. I was being planted, not buried, planted and ready to rise." Part 4, New Name, New Destiny. 3 weeks have passed since you stepped into the hidden season. The darkness has done its work, pruning, healing, planting. Now heaven brings you to a small room, not Sinai, not the wilderness, but the quietest place of all, inside yourself. In the center of the room stands a mirror. Not large, not bright, just clear enough to show your face. And tonight, God says, "It's time I call you by your true name." One, peeling off the wrong labels, a look back. You sit before the mirror and study the person there. Not the eager face of the early years, not the tired eyes of old wounds, but a true human being, wrinkles, scars, and a glimmering light waiting to be named. In that still moment he whispers, "You've worn too many labels I never placed on you." You remember people, words, seasons of your life. One called you weak, another said you're too sensitive. Someone else decided you weren't enough, not skilled enough, strong enough, new enough. You believed them, and slowly those words became a tight garment around your soul. You wore it daily until you forgot your original shape. But tonight, the Creator steps into the room. Light spreads like a thin gold veil across the face in the mirror. His voice is soft, yet sure. "I don't call you by the labels they gave. I call you by the name I set on you before the foundations of the world." 2. When heaven renames 3 proofs of re-identity. In Scripture, when God changes a name, he redirects a destiny. Gideon hiding in a winepress, trembling at his enemies. The angel declared, "Mighty warrior, the Lord is with you." Gideon stammered, "Mighty, I'm the least in my family, the smallest in my tribe." From that uncertain heart, God raised a fighter who made nations tremble. Jacob, a deceiver running from his past. He wrestled the angel all night and was asked, "What is your name, Jacob? From now on you will be called Israel, for you have struggled with God and have prevailed." From a deceiver came the patriarch of a people. Saul, a persecutor, breath hot with hatred. On the road to Damascus, a light from heaven struck him down. Blinded eyes, broken heart, and a voice, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" In that moment, Saul died and Paul was born, the one who would pen much of the New Testament and carry light to the world. Each believed a lie about themselves until God spoke their true name and every barrier shattered. 3. The conversation at the mirror. You keep looking into the mirror. Tears start to fall. His voice is as gentle as breath. "Now it's your turn. What is your name?" You want to answer with the name everyone uses, but your lips hesitate. He's not asking for the name on your papers. He's asking for the name on your soul. You whisper, "I am the fearful one. I am the failure. I am the one left behind." He smiles. "No, those are the names the world gave you. I call you something else." Light blooms in the mirror. His voice resounds. "You are the steadfast one. You are the bearer of light. You are a strategist for my kingdom. You are my child of peace." Your throat tightens. Each word wipes away an old scar. Each sentence stitches a torn place in your spirit. He goes on, "Within you I placed gifts that have slept, the gift of discernment, to tell true from false, the gift of peace, to walk calm through the storm, the gift of strategy, to build, to lead, to guard other souls." He touches your forehead and memories awaken moments you sensed what was coming. Times a few words from you broke someone into healing tears. Those occasions you thought you just guessed right. They were gifts already at work. 4. When the new name begins to sound. The next morning you face the mirror again. The features are the same, but the gaze has changed. No more hiding honesty, no more self-blame gratitude. Like someone newly revived, you realize the death of hiddenness wasn't the end, it was the baptism of a new identity. As you speak with others, discernment lets you hear what lies beneath their words. When you pray, a quick peace arrives, as if heaven answers with a quiet hush. And when you make plans, a clear strategy appears not from the mind alone, but from the light within. He says, I didn't only call you out of darkness, I set you in the place I prepared. You carry a new name, and with it, a new destiny. 5. The mirror where the miracle reflects. Another night you sit again before the mirror. Candlelight flickers, your face looks both familiar and new. You whisper to yourself, hello, chosen one. Hello, child of light. Hello, the one God calls peace. For the first time in years, you see faith, not fear, in your eyes. You smile, touch the mirror, and hear a promise pulse like a heartbeat. Your new name is a covenant. Your destiny is no longer written by fear, but by my promise. Amos 6. A new destiny, living as one who is called. From then on, you live differently. No need to force holy or great. Simply live true to the new name. When someone rages, you don't react because you carry the name peace. When circumstances tangle, you don't panic because you hold the gift of strategy. When darkness presses in, you don't bow because you know you are a bearer of light. You may still stumble, but unlike before, you rise faster because you know whose you are. A new name isn't just a title. It's the key that opens your destiny's door. Every time you declare it, you strengthen your heavenly claim. I am no longer the seeker, I am the one sent. 7. The final mirror, a moment of confirmation. One sunrise light floods the room and the old mirror reflects with startling brilliance. You step closer and look, and instead of the former, you see a steadier, brighter, more peaceful self. In that holy instant, his voice comes again. This is more than a new name. This is my commissioning. From now on, live, speak, and act as the one I have called. The world may not recognize you, but heaven knows that is the bearer of my new name. You nod. Tears fall no longer from hurt, but from glory. Words rise not a prayer, but a proclamation. I have heard you call my name, and I will never go back to the old one. 8. The last reminder, your name is your mission. From then on, when you meet someone, you don't ask, who are you? You ask, have you heard what God calls you? Because you understand every person is born with a true name from heaven, and our journey, yours and mine, is the pilgrimage of recovering that name the world tried to hide. When you call someone by their true identity, their soul vibrates like a string struck on the perfect note. And in that moment, the miracle begins. Their destiny moves. If someone walked into that room, now they'd see a person gazing into a mirror, smiling eyes alight as if hearing a song only they can understand. You look into the mirror and whisper, I am no longer the fearful one. I am the chosen one. I am no longer a failure. I am a carrier of purpose. I am no longer yesterday's shadow. I am tomorrow's light. The mirror flares with brightness, reflecting a face at peace. And somewhere like a breeze, God's voice echoes, your new name is written in heaven, and your new destiny begins right now. Part 5, suddenly the stone rolls away. Every story of rebirth begins in silence. For 3 weeks, you've been in the soil, hidden, waiting, pruned, called by your new name. But today, the ground begins to shake. The stone, silent for so long, stirs slightly, and you know, this is the suddenly moment heaven promised. 1. The unexpected moment. No thunder, no angelic manifestation, just an ordinary morning seemingly unchanged. You awaken sunlight spilling through the curtains, touching your skin. In that instant, something feels different. No one calls, yet your heart knows it's time to step out. You may not hear an echo loud enough for others, but deep in your soul, a whisper rises like the voice calling Lazarus, "My beloved, come out." And suddenly every heaviness in your mind shatters like glass. Fear dissolves, anxiety stops, leaving only a new current of energy, light as breath, deep as the ocean. 2. The first light. The entrance to the tomb suddenly glows. Not lamp or firelight, but the light of freedom. You reach out, touching the cold stone wall. All the days in darkness surge back like a distant dream, but now each step doesn't falter because you know you are alive. Each deep breath feels like the first inhale of a new world. Each breath affirms, I have passed through. I am still here. I am alive. The burial cloth rests on your shoulders, damp, heavy, cumbersome, but powerless. You peel away each layer from your heart, each strip an old memory, fear, failure, regret, sin. Layer by layer falls to the cold ground. Sunlight warms your bare skin. And in that moment, you know you are truly resurrected. 3. Life returns in subtle details. Resurrection isn't always loud and dramatic. Sometimes it arrives in subtle signs only the soul perceives. This morning, your heart feels calm, not because everything is easy, but because fear no longer controls you. This afternoon, you open an old journal, reading lines written in darkness. Suddenly, everything becomes clear. Every vision promised scripture, no longer theory, but the very breath of your being. Then, seemingly by chance, a message, a door, an opportunity appears. You don't have to push, God opens. The door opens not because you deserve it, but because the time has ripened. Like a seed that cannot sprout before the rainy season, you cannot rise before my appointed hour. Now, as the call come out echoes, everything responds in harmony. 4. Stepping out of the tomb. One small step at a time. No one taught Lazarus how to walk with his body wrapped in linen. No one teaches you how to live your new destiny, but you step small, trembling steps because God has shown your feet the way. Each step is a choice. Step out of sin, step out of old memories, step out of roles the world assigned you, and with each step you hear the echo. You are no longer who you were. The light grows stronger. With each step you see clearly, not the world changed, but you have changed. What once terrified you now sounds distant. Those who mocked no longer shake your heart. You have passed through the long night and behold the dawn. 5. When heaven whispers, it's time. As you cross the threshold of light, a voice speaks deep, gentle, powerful. I have kept you long enough in darkness. Now I place you before the light so all may see my work. The tomb's door swings open and the light no longer blinds. Instead, you welcome it like one reunited with the sun. Looking back into the tomb, you see the burial cloths lying still, the old darkness now a witness to the miracle. You pick up a piece of cloth, holding it in your hand, knowing each scar is now proof of resurrection. 6. New life, quiet but deep. Many think resurrection is dazzling, spectacular, but the new life God gives does not explode like fireworks. It spreads like morning fragrance. You begin to notice a new inner stillness, a joy that needs no reason, a faith that requires no proof. You smile not because all is well, but because you know you are held. You look at others not with suspicion, but with deep compassion. If God did this for me, He can do it for them too. When someone asks, "What happened to you?" you look different. You just smile. Nothing. God just rolled the stone away for me. A 7. The stone rolls. Destiny moves. Every stone represents what once blocked your life, an old relationship, a bad habit, a persistent fear. When God commands the angel to roll the stone, He isn't just opening the tomb, He's shifting destiny. The stone's movement sounds distant like thunder, but within your soul it resounds like a victorious melody. Each echo declares, nothing can hold you back. No power can stop my plan. Suddenly, ideas flow, doors open, the right people appear. You realize God had prepared everything while you thought he was silent. 8. Breath of life. The final affirmation. You stand at the tomb's threshold, 1 foot in shadow, 1 in light. Morning wind brushes your face, carrying the scent of earth and sun. You inhale deeply the first breath of new life. No more damp scent of the past, only the freshness of dawn. Shedding every remaining burden, you whisper both to God and to yourself, I am alive. Your voice trembles, but is certain this is more than a statement. It's the declaration of a soul stepping out of the tomb. Seed. The journey from dead to sent. God didn't raise Lazarus to return to the tomb. Likewise, this new life isn't for you to stand still, but to walk and carry life to others. You don't need to shout, prove, or display. Simply live, and light will radiate from you. Your peace will make others ask why. Your smile becomes a living testimony. The way you forgive, love, and remain still marks the one God called out of the tomb. Light floods the path. You step slowly, leaving behind the heavy stone, the final symbol of years in captivity. Each step on soft earth testifies to resurrection. Each breath becomes a song of gratitude. Each smile proves darkness has lost. You lift your head, eyes shining in the morning light, and whisper to the first smile of your new life, I am alive. And this time I will never return to the old tomb.